In this lecture, we will try to understand finally block. What is this finally block? We will try to understand this finally block with appropriate illustration. Time being, let me say this. What is this finally? Finally is a keyword. It is keyword, isn't it? Finally is a keyword of Java used with, what is the purpose of this one? It can be used with exception handling. It is used with exception handling, which can be used with exception handling mechanism. Finally represents what it represents. This finally represents a block of code. It represents a block of code that will be executed, which will be a block of code which will be executed after a try catch block. After a try catch block, isn't it? Let me repeat. Finally, it's a block of code that will be executed after a try catch block. The finally block will be executed whether the catch block handles the exceptions successfully or not. That is important. Successfully or not. What is this successfully or not? Let me repeat. Let me say like this. The finally block will be executed. The finally block will be executed whether the catch block handles the exceptions successfully or not. Isn't it? That is, if an exception is thrown, the finally block will be executed even if no catch successfully handles the exception. That is, the statements, I can say, let me say like this otherwise, the statements of the finally block are guaranteed of execution, whether exception is thrown or not. Whether exception is thrown or not. It does not matter whether exception is thrown or not. But the statements which are in finally block, are guaranteed of execution, whether the exception is thrown or not. I will repeat, the statements of finally block are guaranteed of execution whether exception is thrown or not. And if thrown, caught successfully or not. This concept is very important. Let me say this statement only. I don't want to change this statement. I don't want to deviate from this statement. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of this particular finally block? It's useful. Let me say its purpose is this finally block. It is very useful. It is very useful. When will it be useful? This is very useful for closing file streams. For closing file streams, or I can say sockets. If you want to close file streams or sockets, even I can say, and freeing up any system, freeing up any system resources, any system resources, any system any system resources that might any freeing up any system resources that might have been allocated, that might have been allocated at the beginning of the code or at starting of the code. It's simple. In simple manner, it is useful for freeing up system resources. Simply, what is the purpose of finally black? It is useful for freeing up the system resources. The finally clause is optional. This one is optional. If you don't want, you need not keep. This is optional. The finally clause, it is you must always different. Final is different from finally. This is final is different from finally. This is a block of code. This is final is different. This is different. FINA and final is different from finally black. The finally clause is optional. However, each try statement, we discussed what is try statement. However, I will repeat, let me repeat, the finally clause is optional. If you don't want, you need not keep. The finally clause is optional. However, each try statement requires at least one catch or a final clause How will it be? We will try to understand. Even if you want, you can write what is syntax. Syntactically, one can write try block. We discussed what is try block. Here, if you want, you can keep code, try block code. Then you can keep catch. Here you can write something depending on handler. You can write code here. Even if you want to keep one more catch, you can keep one more catch like this. Just keep it. Depending on your requirement, you can keep any number of catch blocks. Finally, even if you want, you can also keep finally block, isn't it? Anyway, we will try to understand all these things with the help of a simple program. What it says, just see. What is this program? I am giving this name nog2_3. What does it mean? Public static void main string args. We know the meaning of public static void main string args. What's happening here? Int a equal 10, b equal 0, c equal to a by b. A means what? 10. B means 0. Division by 0 means what? Exception is raised. Where will you keep exception raised code? In try block. And this will be thrown into catch block. Here I am handling this exception. Arithmetic exception E. Yes, division by 0 is an arithmetic exception. Yes, I am handling this exception. If you observe carefully this program, isn't it? Just observe this one. Anyway, this program compiles. While running the program, what's happening? Just see. JAVS space nog2_3. If I run this program, what is printing? Don't enter 0. Just see. Don't divide by 0. Sorry, this is don't divide by 0. Plus E means this one. E means java.long arithmetic exception division by 0. Isn't it? After this, I am going to finally block. What it is printing in finally block? I am printed definitely. That's what it's getting. You are getting I am printed definitely. Of course, hello 1 is also displayed. Isn't it? Why? Because understand one thing here, exception is raised. That raised exception is handled by appropriate class, arithmetic exception. As it is handled by this particular catch block, this hello 1 is printed. You are handling exception properly. You are handling exception correctly. Therefore, this program will get executed till the last statement. That's why you are getting hello 1. Instead of arithmetic exception, here if you write something like array index out of bound exception, this hello 1 will not get printed, isn't it? That's what I am saying. Whether your exception, but in all the cases means whether exception is thrown or not, thrown exception caught or not, thrown exceptions is handled or not, this block of code will execute 100%. That's what I am printing. I am printed definitely. Whichever code part you keep in finally block, it doesn't matter whether exception is raised or not, raised exception handled or not. In all the cases, a block of code is guaranteed of execution. That is finally block. This particular block will get executed. As I told you, this finally block is useful for freeing up the resources which are allocated, resources which are allocated. That's what it says. Just go through this lecture. This concept is important. If you have any difficulty, please keep a comment. Thank you very much.